So what we'll do is I will throw a question or two at both you and Anna, and then we will break back into the chat rooms. And we're running just a little bit late, but we're not doing too badly. So the first question is, I know that you guys are spending that money, and as you said, you didn't really actively promote. What do you think would happen if the TTB just didn't, if the TTB didn't exist or the TTB didn't do any active promotion? Would that have any significant effect on the tourism patterns that we are seeing here in the community? In other words, how much of what's going on would you attribute to promotion versus, or local promotion versus things that are perhaps beyond our control? And Anna, I'll pose the same question to you as well. Did you catch that question, Brian?
No, I did. So I was just waiting to be unmuted. It's a it's a really tough question, and really I don't have any good data sources to put your finger on, you know, what's us versus what's others. And as I said, there's so much going on that we actually don't have control over in terms of macro, but then also organizations like Brand USA and Wyoming Office of Tourism who are promoting things like national parks that we don't participate in. I don't know what the TTB's, you know, holistic impact is. I know that destination marketing absolutely works, and it is an effective tool for augmenting demand. I know that tourism is an extremely competitive industry. A lot of people only get 2 weeks out off a year, and they need to decide where they're going to spend their finite time and budget, and they really have an infinite number of options. And so I don't want to take for granted what we have, but when you see all of this growth and all of these impacts, you know, and what the community is saying, as well as what our elected's saying, it gave us license to really back off that initial mandate and start broadening our focus.
Anna?
Well, with Brian, we know that we should control our own message, and if we leave this, you know, if we leave the space empty, someone else either fills it with a different message or just, you know, redirects it. So I do believe that there is a role for the TTB and the lodging tax still, and I think there always will be. If we, you know, the management of tourism can be so targeted that ultimately going forward, we can influence the type of visitors we have, when they come. These are things that we should do, not just leave the space empty and hope. It's the ultimate tourism management, and that's what the TTB can do in partnership with the rest of us. So I think it absolutely has a role, not to mention, Jonathan, you know, that 40% of it goes straight to town and county for mitigating the impacts, which we absolutely still rely on. And then, as Brian was saying, you know, the Chamber of Commerce runs contracts for them for a considerable amount of money for visitor services, for targeted global sales internationally in the winter, and then ultimately, you know, managing events for them. These all add to our quality of life. They add to our management of tourism. I think it still remains a very valid tool in our tourism management plan.
Great. And now reverse the order with the second question. This is trying to aggregate some questions from the group. From your perspective, Anna, and then Brian, there are questions about VRBO and about similar kinds of trends, evolving trends. And so my question to you is, particularly given your 20+ years in marketing in the community, when you look out in the future, what are the things about tourism in Jackson? What are the trends that you think are really going to be shaping what our future tourism economy is going to look like? What things do you see that are really, you think are going to be things people should be aware of because they are gaining in importance, and the potential for influencing us is going to be that much more important? You
threw me, Jonathan. I thought you were going to ask me what keeps me up at night. I had that
No,
answer
no,
all
no, no, no.
prepared.
That's so yesterday. That's so yesterday.
Well, I'm a mother, so you know it's my children. That's the answer to that one.
Yeah.
The
Very well.
other piece is, what are the future trends? And I think I go back to that. And then there was a comment about, dinner party conversations. It's, if you start at real estate, you're going to go to tourism, or you go the other way around, because the future trends are completely tied to our capacity. I do think that, and I use that phrase "full is full" because there is a bit of market what's the right word here? The market is going to manage itself in some ways. So I don't worry the Airbnb piece, and I answered the gentleman in the chat, it's at about 30% from our AirDNA data. That's how much in terms of capacity of our overnight lodging in Jackson Hole at the moment. And clearly that's gone up considerably in the last 10 years because of the platforms like Airbnb and whatever. There's policy that's going to affect that, lodging overlays, that type of thing, resort districts, the future of real estate pricing. But I do think there's going to be a reality that we've only got so many employees. There's going to be a reality that we've only got so many beds. And I think those will plateau, and we'll ultimately then have to work out how to be the most effective at being a good community with those plateaus. And I sort of look at it that way, Jonathan, to be honest. I'm not concerned about massive increases, while there will be some, because we can only house so many people. Our roads can only house so many people. And with better, pre-arrival information, that's just going to be how it is managed. And we need to be at the table about housing and transit and those pieces. And we just need to keep plugging away at those things.
Super. Thank you so much, Brian.
It's a tough question. I think a lot of the trends that we're already seeing are going to continue. And so I think the future of tourism as it relates to management is just the realization of that, and trying to address all these challenges head on. And my hope is that this stuff isn't controversial. If we get it right, it seems like everyone in the community should be able to get on board, even the most pro-business, pro-growth people. It's just that, particularly in Teton County, where we're so reliant on these natural resources that are fragile and that can be ruined. I think we all need to be, it's easy to be on board that we all need to make sure we protect them, because if we ruin them, we're not going to have an economy, and it's going to be tough to figure out where to go from there. So I think that all these trends will continue, honestly. I think people will continue to be interested in the outdoors, natural spaces, and national parks. We just need to remember that tourism brings us so many blessings, but it also is something that needs to be managed, and something that frankly can be ruined as well. Sorry, I think that was kind of a cop-out, Jonathan, but that's what I went with.
That's great. It wasn't an easy question, Brian, and I appreciate your participation, your willingness to even take it on. So